Hey guys, welcome back to the shop. Got a pretty good one for you today, I hope. Uh, we're kind of restarting a project that we started. It's the only way we could restart it if we've already started, right? So today we're going to get back to work on a Jeep CJ that we started a while back. Life happens, things gets going. There's things that have to be figured out along the way. And the project kind of gets pushed back a little bit, and it belongs to some friends of mine, and there were some other projects that got that they needed to get done ahead of this one, and this one just kind of got pushed back a little bit, but today we're back on it. It's a Jeep CJ7 that, well, let's just say it's going to be a big job.
I'd say it's a nut job.
All right, guys, so today is the day we get back to work on a Jeep CJ7. It's pretty much a ground up build is what it's turned into. Let me rewind the clock a little bit and let's catch you up to speed on it. This was I believe she's like a 80, 81 Jeep CJ7. It's a factory four-cylinder Jeep. Just a running, driving Jeep. But there were some electrical issues. My buddy reached out to me, and I was like, yeah, I can take care of those. We all get kind of caught up in the might as well. And that might is a deep well. And once you get might as well, you can make a project a big project. I do it all the time. So this Jeep started out as, had some electrical issues. I went and picked it up, brought it back here with intent was going to put a wiring harness on it. He reached out to me and said, well, I think my wife would like to have a V8 in it. Okay, well, we can V8 swap it, no problem. Why you got it? You think we could put a lift on it? Yeah, we could put a lift on it. Well, that might will get away from it if you let it have its head, and we let it have its head a little too long. So this has turned into basically the body is staying on a frame, and we're doing everything else, and including some body work and some special paint work. That pretty well catches you up. And I say the body's staying on the frame, but once we get started with some rust repairs, it's going to go where it's going to go. So hopefully there's no rust in the bottom and there's no issues that we find on the frame anywhere, so that the body can stay on the frame. It's a Jeep. It wouldn't be that big a deal to set it off. It's only a few bolts, but we're hoping that we get to hang on to that little bit, that the body stays on the frame. Okay, so we've had this thing in storage for a while, and trying to get the tires aired up. Excuse the noise, but the air compressor running, trying to get the tires aired up so that we can get it into the shop to get started on what we're doing to it. Although so far I've had one tire that wouldn't hold air, and I'm kind of shocked any of them done, because if you look at them, the tires are not exactly great, but that's okay. We've got tires. I'm pretty sure I've got tires. I know I've got tires. I've got stacks of tires. You've seen my tire pile sometimes. One of the first things we're going to get into is finish taking stuff off so we can work on things. If you look, when you see paint with bubbles in it, it means there's rust behind it. There's actually a rust hole right there. Somebody had done some work over the top of and painted over it, and of course it didn't hold up. And you can see if I flake this paint back, there's actually pinholes behind that. So this area right here is rusted out on this thing. So we're going to have to cut all this out and repair it and put a patch panel in and body work that. I don't know if there's any other. I would guess there is, because if you look, there's some bubbles right here, and it looks like there's some weird areas in the paint right across here. It looks like somebody might have put a patch panel in that at one time and didn't quite get it sealed up good. But we're going to finish tearing everything off of it. We've got to take the lights off, roll bar out, all that stuff, so that we can address any body issues and fix any rust so that there's no rust issues. Got to address this firewall. The firewall's a mess in this thing because we're doing body work and paint on it. Kind of paint. You'll see when we get to that. The goal in this video is to get it in the shop, get all the wheels and tires knocked off of it. I know I'm working on wheels and tires, but that's to get it off the ramp truck. I was actually shocked we got it loaded on to the back of this with 4 flats, but this old ramp truck, when it says come on, it means come on. So we're going to get the wheels and tires off of it. We're going to knock all the suspension off of it, take a few parts off. We're going to tear down a little more before we build back up. But I need to address the suspension first, because we have a lift kit that goes on it, but I need to be able to move it in and out. So I need it to be able to roll. So the first thing we're going to address is the lift kit, the suspension, and all that, so that it can roll in and out on its own. And I don't remember if we got a 3 or 4 inch lift kit now. I don't remember. I'll have to look. But put the lift under it and get it back on its tires. And then after that, when it can roll in and out, is when we'll really start the body work. Because let's be honest, I don't want to be grinding and sanding all this old paint and stuff off and body working inside. I prefer to do it outside. So if I can roll it out the front door and body work with it, and then roll it back inside, well, that's what I'm going to do. Let's take a quick look while we're here. You can see back to that. I think there's been a patch put in here. Look how the paint's flaking in a straight line right there. So I think there's a patch in there, and we're going to pop the spare tire off, tail lights off, and all that, so we can really body work this. Of course, you know, but the frame under this thing looks solid. I don't see any frame damage. Even over there in the steering box, where a lot of CJs tend to crack the frame right over there, this frame is solid. So honestly, I believe it's just going to be rust repair right here, and whatever we get into right up in here, I don't know yet what that's going to be. It's a weird looking spot, so whatever we get into there, and I'm going to pop these off, because the only thing these do is hide rust repair, and this one's even loose anyway. I don't know. So we'll pop this off and make sure that there's no rust hidden behind these down here. I don't know why they're even on there. I mean, you're going to paint them. Why even have them, right? So we're going to ditch those. Again, all that does is hold moisture and just promote rot. So don't put those on there. If you're going to put something on the side of them, put the rock guard plates on the side. Much better than this, because this is just an open C-channel in there, and stuff will pack in there and hold, and then that moisture just rots through. Judging by the inside, I don't think there is any rot in there, but you never know. The floors actually look really solid in this thing, so I don't think we're going to have any floors to deal with. Just right here and some possible right in here. I'm not sure what this is yet. We don't know. We get this camo paint job stripped off. Yeah, we've already, of course, you can see we've already got the front ripped off of it and drivetrain out of it. So again, this thing's going V8 swapped. So that's what we're about to get started. Actually, what we're about to get started on is getting it inside so we can get the suspension done. And then we're going to do, probably after the suspension, I'm going to mock up the motor. I'm going to set the motor over in it, because we'll probably have to make some mounts, maybe not. We'll set the motor over in it, see if we need to clearance anything before we start doing body work, because I'd hate to do body work and then have to move something, you know what I mean? So we're going to do the suspension in this video. This video is going to be about ripping the suspension out from under it and getting new suspension under it. or at least started under it. So it's back on its wheels and tires and rolling. And then it'll give us an idea of a list of other things that we need to buy. And then we're going with a motor mock-up so we can set the engine over in it and see if we need to make any kind of mounts, or if we're going to have any kind of clearance issues with oil pans, if we need to change to a different oil pan. I don't know yet what we may have to do. So we're going to do that because, again, this thing was not a V8 Jeep originally, and even if it was, it wouldn't have the V8 that we're putting in it. So, yeah. All right, let's get her in the shop. Oh, we got plenty of room to walk around on this thing. Well, it is over to one side right now, but it's all right. That's all right. Where's Elvis? That's all right, mama. That's all right, baby. Any way you do. I don't know. I don't know. It's crooked, but good enough. Good enough for the girls we date, right? Yeah, something like that. All right, so it's in here, and I think we're going to start with the front suspension because, well, it's right here in the front. Okay, you know what I mean? So we're going to start with that. Get it jacked up, get it on some stands. First, got to remember where I put my stands. We're going to get it jacked up, put on some stands, and get the front suspension knocked out from under it, and yeah, go from there. I think this will go pretty good. I gotta move the ramp truck. Okay, so let's talk about what we're using here, and we'll look at it as we'll look at what we got here before we put it on. As always, I will try to put a link in the descriptions to some of the parts that I use. I'm sure they're still available. At the time I'm recording this, I haven't actually looked, but I've had these springs for probably about a year now. I actually laid up in the rafters waiting to put this on. They were sanded and sprayed with some red oxide primer. Of course, most of that primer is faded off and needs to be redone. So eventually we're painting the whole frame, suspension, and everything. And of course, like I said, we're doing kind of a special paint on the body. But for the purposes of right now, we're going to put it on here, get the Jeep lifted up, get it back on its wheels and tires. So again, we can roll it in and out. And then when we get ready to paint, it's going to be one of those things where no matter what we do, it's going to be a little bit of work. I don't mind going out and back to make the finished product nice and what it should be. I'll have to look, see which one, but it's a 3-inch lift. Either Rough Country or Skyjacker. I can't remember which one. It's probably a Skyjacker because I tend to use those more often. But I'll have to go back and look. But it's a 3-inch lift. And what I want to do as we do this is before we start, I'm going to measure the ground clearance here. And then we're going to put the 3-inch lift on it to see what it actually ends up being. My last Jeep was a 74 CJ5. I put a 3-inch lift on it and it ended up picking it up 5 inches because the factory suspension was so sagged out on it. It was a big difference in the lift. This one, honestly, everything looks pretty good on it, so it may actually not pick it up but the 3 inches it's supposed to. So we'll see. Who knows? with no motor and stuff in it, it may actually end up lifting it a little more because there's no weight on it. And I'm going to show you this in a minute, but if you start working on a CJ, keep in mind the front springs and the rear springs are different, both in width and length. The front springs and rear springs are completely different on a CJ. Some vehicles, they run similar springs front and back, but that is not the case with a CJ. So these are the front springs. They're not as wide, but they are longer. Polyurethane bushings front and back, steel core in them. Great set of springs. All this needs to be cleaned up before. It's still got some old mud and junk caked up on it. So all this needs to be cleaned off anyway, so I don't feel bad about putting these springs on, knowing I got to take them back apart to paint them, because I got to take it all back apart anyway. And then the rear springs are wider, but they're shorter. All right, I'm going to take a measurement in 2 different places so we can see what we end up with. Okay, 22 inches to the bottom there. 22 inches to the bottom there. Actually, I take back my previous statement. It is not sitting higher in front. It's an illusion because my eyes are playing tricks on me. It sets at 22 inches. Well, in theory, it should be about 25 inches once we put the lift under it. We'll see what happens. You can probably hear how hard it's raining. And yeah, there's a reason why all the schools around here were canceled, and you know, work was called off for a lot of people. Yeah. This is the floor of my garage. That is about ankle deep. Well, I mean, about that deep. Yeah, it's pretty much, it is flooding around here. That's how it's going right now. And kind of sucks. Ain't gonna lie. Makes it very hard to work on something. Not to mention, it's probably gonna take a couple of days to get the shop dried out now after it stops. All right, so I've had the pump running now for about 3 hours. And we've got her pumped back. Oh, we're still about 5 feet from the end of the shop. Now we just got a muddy mess across the floor of the shop. I just changed light bulbs in the shop, so all those boxes are wet, but they were just trash. I just hadn't picked up. So, yeah, still got the pump sitting there running and trying to pump water. The problem is, the real problem is the entire ground is saturated with water, so I really got nowhere to pump the water to. That's the problem. We've got so much rain overnight up till about a half hour ago. I, at the moment, have 2 6,000-gallon pumps running at the same time to try to, the idea was to get ahead of it, but, well, we didn't exactly get ahead of it. I mean, it is what it is. When the ground is as wet as it is, there's really no place to pump the water to. Well, here we are. We're probably 20 yards below the shop, and you can see just the entire ground is just saturated in water coverage. So, guys, I may have to stop this video, and I don't know what to say. We didn't get much done on the Jeep. Some boxes of parts laying in the seats now. We didn't get much done on the Jeep. The idea was to get the suspension taken care of. Unfortunately, Mother Nature had a different plan. So I guess we got to make up some time in the next one and really get some suspension stuff done, get the wheels and tires taken care of, and try to get some progress done on the Jeep. Last night and today was a total loss. Tomorrow will probably be as much of a loss because we'll be out here with a squeegee and a leaf blower and all that stuff, trying to blow water out of the shop and get the shop dried up. Because we don't want moisture in the shop right now. I don't think nothing is actually hurt right now, just because I don't really leave valuable stuff laying on the ground. Most of the stuff laying on the ground is buckets or fuel jugs or something that won't hurt. But we want to get the moisture out of the shop because we don't want moisture in the air to cause rust on anything. So my day tomorrow will pretty much be leaf blowers and firing up heaters in here and running heaters and leaf blowers and just trying to get as much moisture out of this building as humanly possible, because I think as it stands right now, they're actually calling for another storm later in the week. So now that I have a second pump, I don't think the next storm's supposed to be as bad. Maybe it is, I don't know. But now I have a second pump, so both of them are made to work. They have a trigger on the side of them like a float. So I'm going to do some reconfiguring and try to stop this from happening again. I'm going to add some hose to run water even further off the property so that maybe if the storm later in the week gets to this point, then we won't have anything to worry about. We'll have it all taken care of. But for right now, it's just going to be going through a drying process. So sorry, guys, if this video wasn't as good as it was supposed to be. Sorry, guys, that I didn't get to do as much as I intended on doing, but I did not expect Mother Nature to kick us right in the balls like this. So, end of the day, it happens. We're still blessed to have a roof over our heads and be somewhat dry, and we're still blessed that a lot of people lost power in the storm, and we didn't as of right now. So we're still blessed. We're still blessed. We got some drying out to do, and I'm sure I've got a couple of I might have a couple of battery powered tools that I'll have to replace, because I think I had a couple of those sitting around getting ready to work on this Jeep and didn't think about it. So there may be a little expense that I have to put out. But I mean, it is what it is. What I really need to do is get some fundage together and probably have to sell a few things around here and get a little money together to rent a skid steer and come in here and do some property grading and try to build me a swale away from the garage. To rent a skid steer has gotten crazy over the last couple of years. So that'll be the next thing we look into. Sorry, guys, about the video, but stay tuned. Hopefully later in the week we will have a better video out and we will actually get some work done on the Jeep. Mother Nature really kicked us in the teeth on this one, but at the end of the day, I mean, we'll overcome. So God bless you guys. I hope the Lord blesses you more today than He did yesterday. I hope all y'all staying safe in this weather if you're in the path of it. And we'll see you on the next one, guys.
I'd say it's a nut job.